welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, it's Senja Eliza. I hope you enjoyed today's video. In this video we're going to be doing yet another tutorial, and today we're making this shirt that I am wearing right now. This has actually been requested over on my Instagram, so if you follow me there you might have already seen something of this sort. If you don't, make sure to hit that follow button because I post way more consistently there than I do here. Unfortunately, I'm working on it, okay. Also, if you watched my previous video, you see we're not in the same location. Not true. Since I'm a perfectionist and remade that video like 400 times, the version that I ended up uploading actually ended up being filmed here, so I was too lazy to re-edit this video, but yeah. So like, this is not actually my room, it's my host family's room. I don't know what I wanted to tell you, but yeah. I am in England now, and this video was filmed on the last days before I left, and if this is a mess, I apologize. I did not have the time to film this, but I really wanted to do it anyway, so. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into this tutorial. That's what you're here to watch. So today we are making a shirt from scratch. We're making this picnic aesthetic, cute little white top. And now when making stuff from scratch, first things first, you need to figure out what kind of fabric you're using. I used 100% cotton. I always like to buy natural fabrics rather than synthetic because I find that those age a lot better, and if I'm going to be putting money toward a piece of clothing, I want it to last, let alone if I'm putting money and time toward making a piece of clothing myself, I really want it to last multiple wears and hopefully years in my closet. So first things first, we need to look at our pattern pieces. Now this is, I wouldn't say complicated, but there are quite a few pattern pieces. So starting with the midriff section, we need 3 pieces. Piece A is going to go in the middle obviously, and B pieces are identical and they're going on the sides. And now, as you can see, the top of this midriff section is a bit curved, so we need our bodice to match that. So to make the bodice, I just cut out a rectangle and curved it just a little bit at the bottom. Keep in mind that we're going to be adding some darts, so you need enough length to this so that you can do with cutting away a couple of centimeters from the sides. Obviously in the design we have some ruching at the bodice, so we're going to be needing another long rectangle that we're going to be gathering for the visible part of the bodice. So moving on to the back, this is rather straightforward. We need 3 pieces, 1 rectangle that we're going to be shirring that goes in the middle, and then 2 identical side pieces that have a curve on the side for the armhole to go into. For the sleeves you can do basically whatever you want to go ham. I just did like a 2/4 puff sleeve, so for that you're going to be needing a pattern piece that looks something like this. It's really easy to just whip this up based on a basic sleeve pattern, so just like get the length that you want. I wanted 2/4, so I measured that against my arm and went with it. For the puff effect, remember to widen the sleeve altogether. And also remember, in a normal sleeve pattern the sleeve would be there because it would be attached to the front piece, but when we're doing on the shoulder sleeves, you need to add a little extra length to the curved top of the sleeve pattern. So after cutting out your pattern pieces, it's really important to make sure that you've cut them right. So as you saw, I like to cut my pattern pieces with a lot of allowance to them, so if I see that okay, I may have measured something wrong, so I still have a lot of room for error, so So keep that in mind when you're cutting your pieces, and remember to leave seam allowance. I like to pin my pieces all together before I sew them and adjust any hems or whatever before I actually hem them, so when I'm at the sewing machine I won't have to do everything over and over and over because I've already measured everything out. At this point I also measure out the dots, so you can go ahead and do that now. So I'm filming on my phone here because I cannot get up and move the camera, but yeah, so as you can see here I had to seam rip this open once because, well, I don't know how to run the machine slow, so I just missed the dart and it went crazy. But here I figured I'd just fold, because this is a very like creasing fabric, so if I just fold you can clearly see that. So if your fabric is also like easily creasable, you can just fold it like that, hold it a little bit, and then it will get this line, so it's going to be a lot easier to sew the dot right where you need it to be. But yeah, I think they turned out pretty nice. Now I'm just going to hem the leftover raw edges and we can move on to the next step. So now that all of our pieces are hemmed and sewn together, it's time to put in lining if you'd like. I put lining on the entire front of this shirt. Yeah, you can use whatever fabric you'd like. I used an old bed sheet, so just like anything that's comfortable and sturdy enough. Get creative. So when you got two identical midriff pieces, you just slack those together, right sides facing inwards, and then sew along the edges. Just make sure you are not sewing this seam just yet. So you will flip your work right sides out through that seam. The same thing with the bodice. I ended up having, well, first the official lining and then another piece of lining just to make sure there's no nip action or any folded darts showing through, so that we look real professional. Not to say that I'm actually professional, but I like to pretend. Okay, yeah. So I did not add any on the back, and it is a little see-through, but on the back I don't really mind it, but make sure that you have enough coverage to your liking. So, I've got no idea how the professionals do this, but the way I did it, I just cut a long ass rectangle and I sewed two straight loose lines at the top and the bottom of the rectangle, and then just gathered it as one does. And that created this cute ruched pattern. Also, if you want to do something else like pleats with the fork technique, go ham, go like do whatever you want to do. So once we've got our ruched bodice all done, just sew it on to the lining part again, right sides facing inwards, and then sew along all the edges except the curved hem. We're going to be attaching the midriff part to the bodice on that seam next. So now the front of the top is officially done, and it's time to move on to the back. Now this is really straightforward. We cut out those side pieces earlier, which is going to be sewing those together to create an armhole that looks like this. So after you've got all those sewed together, you can measure out how long you need your back panel to be. I definitely overestimated how wide my back is. I ended up actually using like half of the material that I cut out, but it's fine. I can use it when I get back home, and I'll probably end up making like 20 of these shirts anyways, because I really like the way it looks, so yeah. I don't really know if there's any way to calculate how much shirring is going to shrink the length of the fabric. I feel like the last time I shirred, I was using like a chiffon type fabric, so it really shrunk a lot. But now that I'm using cotton, which is a lot sturdier, it definitely didn't shrink as much. I think it's just trial and error, you know, test it out on your fabric and see what happens. This is the absolute worst thing about shirring, like, oh my gosh. I cannot get it to stay, for goodness sakes. So, I ran out of thread. Here you can see I ran out right there, and I unpicked this, and if you look really close you can see that these first rows are really tight and these last rows are not, and that is a problem. We don't want that. That will be visible, as you can see, or I don't know if you can see, but yeah, these are tighter and these are looser. We want it to be even, so I'm going to have to unpick at least one full row, so yay! Like, super cute. Shirring is like hands down the messiest thing. Like, ugh, so much excess thread. So, here's the top. There's still some things to do. I need to trim these bits here, but that's essentially it. Also, I think I overestimated how long my long torso it actually is, but I think it would look a lot nicer if I just cut off like 1 centimeter here, like that. Then it would fit me right at the waist. I don't know if I still have enough time to make that change, but yeah. So, fit your top to your measurements. I'm obviously still struggling to do that. Obviously it's still missing straps or sleeves or whatever it is that you want to put on your top. I think I'm gonna go with some sort of a puff sleeve for now, but if you wanted straps, you wanted long sleeves or puff sleeves, or if you're using like a chiffon type fabric, some flowy bell sleeves, whatever you want to do. If you're making a strapless or a top with straps, I do recommend chopping this bit off, so you'd be like, you'd end up with a straight line there. I think that would look a lot nicer with a strapless model, but yeah. To be honest, I'm quite surprised at how well this turned out. Like, I was not expecting to like this as much as I do, since I'm like winging this 100%, but I am quite pleased. here we see it does pay off to just jump at the opportunity and make something nice. Also, I'm sorry, I'm like not model-esque right now. I am leaving for England in a couple of days and I figured perfect timing to make a tutorial. Definitely not. So I have my suitcases here ready to be filled. Where are they? There. I only have a hairbrush now. Great! Great preparations! But yeah, so I'm just gonna go cut out some sleeves from the remainder of the fabric and show you the final results. P.S. There's always styled outfits on my Instagram if you want to go and watch. Follow me at Senja Eliza. So now sewing the sleeves onto the shirt is really straightforward. I added 2 lines of shirring on the top of the sleeve and 8 on the very end of the sleeve, like that. So after attaching the sleeves, we're done. This is a very versatile pattern, so just changing out the sleeves, changing out the ruching, playing with pleats, whatever, it really changes up the look. Also playing with materials, you can like turn this pattern into so many different aesthetics. So I highly recommend trying it out. I really enjoyed making this and I know I'm going to be making many more, and I'll make sure to post those on my Instagram once I do. That might very well be next year, because I don't have a sewing machine here in England, so make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this, or some videos, because well, there's not going to be videos like this in a while, but once there are, you're going to be notified, so hit those anyways. Yeah, thanks for watching, I love you guys. Bye. Okay, that's enough. It's like 11:30 and I'm sleep deprived. It's time for a shower.